And really thank you for joining this session about scaling Agile with JIRA Software and portfolio for JIRA. My name is Dennis, this is Rick. Of course, there have been many sessions already about portfolio. I don't know who joined the session this morning. Portfolio demo, it's quite some fingers. Yeah, we will tell our story, and it's not only about portfolio, but also the transformation to Agile within ABN AMRO. And I will share with you the agenda for this session. First, we would like to share a small bit of information about ABN AMRO in a nutshell. Also, I will tell you a little bit about the transformation to Agile within ABN AMRO. Then I'll pass it over to Rick. He will tell more about the portfolio management that goes to Agile. And after that, we will tell you more how we did it within JIRA. And after that, more also about portfolio. That's the agenda. Please, yeah, if you have questions, of course, we would like to answer it at the end. Let's see. Let's start first. ABN AMRO in a nutshell. Yeah, we are like this bank for retail, private, but also corporate clients. Mostly part of the Netherlands, but also serving internationally for some bits. We have a full range of products. We doing everything mostly also by the internet. We have a beautiful app, which is highly rated by our national Dutch clients. What they use for, of course, financial banking. That's it. Yeah, our operational income. Yeah, well, it's not that high as Apple, I would say, but still, it is quite big. And we have quite a lot of employees. Most of them are dedicated in working in the Netherlands. Yeah, let's say, quite a lot of people working for us. Our headquarters is in Amsterdam since 1720. It's a beautiful city. I don't know. Have been people to Amsterdam here? Wow, that's quite a lot. Good. So you've been. It's actually the orange is our natural color, so that's why we're wearing it today. Yeah, that's about it. I would say the transition to Agile, how far we are. We have seen, and we have been already since 2015, starting with the transformation to Agile way of working. And actually what we figured out is that, especially to our customers, it really helped in the customer satisfaction. We have this employees surveys, and we asked them how you like the way of working now, and they are really responding very well in the Agile transformation. However, we're not there yet. We are still part of this transition. If you look to IT, our full Agile development process is working Agile now. But still, we have a lot to do, and we are currently now more in this business processes to make them also the Agile way of working. What I would say, this line is not as smooth as it looks like. It has many ups and downs, and sometimes it goes a bit faster, or you have to do some step backs before you can move forward again. But we are quite happy with the process what we made still so far. Rick, I'm going to give the word to you.
Thanks. So I'll explain a bit about the situation prior to the transition towards Agile. So the situation we came from, the challenges we faced, and the reasons why we moved towards a full Agile corporation. So let me start by with the definition of a project, because that already explains a bit about the challenges that we face. So at least in ABN AMRO, a project it's a defined scope and a big list of requirements. Typically, a full year work for a team of around 10 to 15 persons, right? So a lot of work, a long time. And all of this comes with an activity plan, risk management plan, cost forecasts, etc., etc., etc. All is documented. And then it's not only approved by the steering committee, but by a portfolio decision board, an architecture board, a risk committee. And if you're lucky, maybe an extra decision committee we came up with. So if one of these things changes, a couple of requirements maybe, all of these things have to be reevaluated again, all the documentation needs to be adjusted, and you'll have to go through all the approval steps again. So changes don't come easy, they don't come cheap. So the team, the sponsor, everybody becomes biased towards sticking to the plan instead of embracing change, right? Sounds familiar? Second, we develop a bit more, or sometimes a lot more, than actually is needed. Right? A project is prioritized as an all-or-nothing decision. Right? We build a business case around a project, and this project is approved, and then all the requirements within it, they're taken for granted, almost. Right? Of course, they are prioritized, but they're only prioritized against each other, and not against requirements from other projects. So we tend to deliver a bit more than what's actually required. Also a problem because of the long lead time from start to the project to the finish, and the way that we organize a project in stages where we do analysis, design, technical design, development, all in stages one after another. Feedback will get very late in the project. We already spend a lot of time, and rework will cost a lot of time and effort. So also a big problem with traditional waterfall projects. And finally, also because of the long duration of a project, the requirements that you deliver actually are outdated already, right? Because in a year a lot changes, the market, customers, management, everything tends to change, so yeah. We did implement a lot of successful changes using waterfall traditional project methods, but these are some pitfalls that you come across. So we decided to move towards Agile. We started with a couple of teams that work Agile, projects that actually do the execution phase in an Agile way. But at a certain point, we came to a tipping point where we had to make decisions about how to organize this, right? Because so much of the change was being done in an Agile way, you have to actually reconsider the way you organize your portfolio. So simply working with projects, but then executing Agile solves a lot of the problems because you do short iterations, you gather feedback fast and often. You reprioritize your requirements on a continuous basis. So that's all good. But still, everything is inside a project, right? The team has a project, the sponsor has probably done a lot of effort to get the budget approved, so the sponsor will probably defend the scope of the project a lot. So there's still some issues even when you run projects in an Agile way. So what we went for at ABN AMRO is that we completely got rid of projects. No projects, no project budgets, no governance around projects anymore. Basically, we have a portfolio of teams. So we fund Agile teams just on an annual basis, just like the rest of the organization, and there's no projects anymore. So every backlog item is on its own, and you can prioritize it against any other. So this is a big change for management, you can imagine, but I think an important decision because it really helps to truly create an Agile way of working. So this is where we are at now, I think around 400 teams. This is a portfolio we have, not a lot of projects, but a lot of teams working on software development in an Agile way. Of course, this raises some questions. You can imagine that managers get a bit nervous about all of this. So Dennis will take over now to explain a bit about how to create insight with JIRA.
Thank you. And when we introduced JIRA within ABN AMRO, actually we did not introduce it. It was like a request from the teams itself. When we started in 2015, we had like a couple of teams, and they needed a tool. Yeah? We are like in this bank working with offshore as well. So many of the team members are participating from India, and they want to be participating in of course, in the Scrum way and make it visible what they are doing. So the request came quite quickly to come up with tooling what helps us in this way. And we started with JIRA, but the request with a couple of teams, actually a small, let's say, server version when only around like in the beginning like 500 user accounts we had there. We left it a bit freely, so we did some trainings, like people were really interested in it. They can get some admin rights, and before you know, we had like 15 admins with only 500 users, and they created like together 15 issue types, 25 different statuses. It was only the beginning, and 30 workflows. But before we know, it was like it grows fast. This development goes fast. Everyone wants to have it. More teams starting up. So before we know, we're like almost 5,000 users already in JIRA, and they created together with 65 admins what we had, over 70 issue types, around 500 statuses, and 800 workflows together. And of course, how does it work is that still we were busy in this agile transformation, but still a lot of teams, like they want to use JIRA, but there are not any agile, let's say, skills at all. So they created also the wonderful workflows within JIRA with a lot of approval steps in it. And of course, when you want to have like multiple teams working together, it was hard to manage. Also, what they did is that they created custom fields in many ways, with actually almost the same information what they want to have, but they used different names for multiple of the same information. I think everyone recognized this. This is not that ABN AMRO is like only having this problem, but I see people say, yeah, we did it also. All the people are hiding. Well, I won't want to explain it, but yes, okay, we can understand this problem. And we got some challenges because what happened is that one admin changed something and it was affecting to all the other teams as well. Or delete or change the name, and it was definitely hidden the impact of filters as well. So we got some challenges. So we had to think we need to remanage JIRA a bit. So how we can do this and why? And of course, the growth limitations. Also because of some, let's say, some security concerns what we had within ABN AMRO. We had on the server environment, and we had policies within ABN AMRO that said that's not the way we should move forward. 65 admins. The freedom that we had with 65 admins was quite a lot. Well, I managed some challenges that we had. And also the scaling issues. Like how you can have this overview about multiple teams working together on something what is like very important for ABN AMRO to deliver. So we came up with like this dedication team to help them all. I won't say rule them all, but to help them all. And actually this dedication team was there to help on the migrate and configuration of JIRA, to help with support and training, but also to help with creating blueprints. And actually it was not only the dedication team who were part of it, but we had in all the IT domains creating a wizard function, a JIRA wizard function. Because we find out that you need the eyes and ears within the domains as low as possible. And those wizards were really helpful because they had a lot of knowledge already over JIRA, and we helped them to like come up with some feedback. So for example, when we're talking about issue types, they're creating like multiple flavors, but we work together like, okay, what is now the common sense of ABN AMRO? What do we really need to help all the teams, gives as much as freedom as is needed, but also to keep it manageable. And that we did also with the custom fields, with schemes, with workflows. What do you really need to support the system as best? And of course, if you're talking about 65 admins and then you go back to like only 10, how you manage this? Because it's not that you want to keep like, I will remove your rights and you will only be like only a user now, but you want to do this on a way that everybody understands this. And this helps as well. If you have wizards in your domain, do this transformation together, it understands the bigger picture, what you want to achieve within ABN AMRO. So currently, we're aiming for around 10,000 users within JIRA and only 10 admins. At the end, we have like only 30 issue types because multiple teams will work on it. Around 40 statuses we're going for, and around 200 workflows. And that will help us to get the performance as best as possible, but also to give us more freedom as needed for the teams. The migration, that was because of the, in the end we had like 2 servers, so it was not that easy to find information over the projects if you have on two different instances. So we went to this data center setup with support of an Oracle database. Actually, we had like 2 servers with a load balancer, so we had like the best opportunity to also scale and to get the performance as best as possible. That really helped a lot. Part of the delegation team was also training, but we want to keep it as ABN AMRO information as well. So we created this community with simple user training information where people can watch and learn about how we did this configuration of JIRA within ABN AMRO. And actually every month we have around 30,000 visits on this community. 8,000 members we have currently, and JIRA has a nice feature that's called the issue collector. I don't know if someone is using it. Well, yeah, a couple. And this issue collector is helping us to get like questions directly from people who need support. And that we use quite a lot as well. 2,000 people we trained within ABN AMRO, and that we did in classical trainings on different flavors. So we have trainings for like a basic JIRA training, and sometimes in groups like this, where we not only telling about JIRA itself, but also telling about, I would say the Agile transformation, because we're seeing that it's not only about JIRA, but also about how we're working Agile within ABN AMRO. So that story is combined actually. Second part of the training is advanced. That's more or less for, I would say, the Scrum Masters within our organization or product owners. Dashboards is also really helpful. So we did some especially training on special training on dashboards and portfolio. But Rick will come back on that one after this. So what did we do? We created this issue types scheme. So you see AEB, ABN AMRO. Well, this is for an agile team. What you need, but we had also some other flavors for skilled teams or like for task management. They would like said, well, we only need less instead of more. So let's give us less. And the same we did actually for workflows as well. So we created special schemes for workflows, depending on issue types, depending on what the needs for the team as well. So we had like a ready workflow or a very simple workflow. And the screens, we did actually the same in the fields as well. So we had like the schemes where all the teams see the same information. And we still had the opportunity that if like one team said, we really need this field because it's very important for us, we can do that. We still have the flexibility to use schemes, like this is the common setup, but you can create an exception for one project or more projects that a couple of fields are only visible for them and not for the rest. So that keeps your information manageable. Same with notification. We had the ABN AMRO notification scheme for watches only because people they were quite annoying about getting a lot of messages from JIRA. So we did something in the configuration and that as well. But the big question was still how we align all of these teams. And I want to hand it over to Rick to explain that part.
Yeah, so basically both were about alignment, right? So Dennis talked about alignment of the way of working of the teams. So how do they do their work in JIRA? But the next question, of course, is also aligning on what they actually do. So we don't have projects anymore, but still we have 400 teams, right? So what are they all doing? And in a complex organization like ABN AMRO, there's no such thing as 100% autonomous teams. That's impossible, right? So many dependencies. So you need to align all those teams in working together, working towards shared objectives, managing dependencies, etc. And it can be kind of tricky if you just use JIRA software. So portfolio really helps out here. So I'll talk a little bit about that. But first, we also organize these teams in a bit different way. So in ABN AMRO, we use blocks and grids. A block is basically an agile team, right? So we just gave it a name. So remember that, the block is an agile team. But like I said, we have a complex organization. There's a lot of dependencies. We aim for as much autonomy as possible by having multi-skilled teams that can do as much as possible. But you still have dependencies. So we organized logically related blocks together in grids. So a grid is basically a big team. It's a team of teams. And the aim is, again, to have as much autonomy as possible so that at least this grid can deliver some customer value on its own without being dependent on anything or any other team. So this is the first step. We have blocks working together, sitting together, as much co-located as possible. We do work with offshore teams and have different offices, but whenever we can, we try to co-locate them to make collaboration as easy as possible. So a grid has a grid owner. The grid owner is responsible for developing a vision and a strategy for the grid, and also for working or getting all the blocks working together as a team of teams to align, share this vision, share this strategy, and develop it together, and also do joint planning sessions, etc. Yeah, so no projects anymore, I said earlier, but we still do have like initiatives or objectives that just are bigger than what one team can do. So the way we organize this in ABN AMRO is we have user stories and epics. Everybody who works with JIRA is probably familiar with those. For us, a user story is always something that one team delivers in one sprint. An epic is a piece of work that requires multiple sprints. Most cases, still one block is involved in the delivery. But as soon as there are more blocks that have to be involved in delivering a piece of a customer value, some initiative, then that is managed as an episode. So an episode is just bigger than an epic, right? And it requires multiple blocks. It often spans also multiple sprints, as you can imagine. So the grid owner has a grid backlog, and that backlog is just similar as a backlog of an individual agile team, but it's just only the bigger initiatives. And as soon as there are multiple grids involved in something, because we have above grids, we have business lines, right? The business lines are like retail, banking, of that sort of business units. And they often also have large initiatives that span across multiple grids. So they also have a backlog, and they have a backlog of sagas. So the saga is the biggest story there is, right? So these are also created in JIRA, and this is, I think if you've seen the portfolio demo, you've heard that you can create your own hierarchies. So this is what we did to express these shared objectives that live on grid backlogs or even business lines. As you're familiar with an epic, you can normally see the child issues beneath it. And what's new with portfolio is that even an epic has a parent link. So similar to an epic link of a user story, an epic can now get a parent link, so you can actually say this epic is part of a bigger initiative. In ABN AMRO case, it's an episode. So you can see it there. Parent link is it readable? Agile PPM tooling. And you still see the child issues there. And similar on the episode, an episode, again, you can link it to a parent, and the parent in our case is the saga. So that's the biggest initiative there is. And that way you can, in JIRA, so not in the portfolio add-on, but within JIRA, you can also see the whole hierarchy of initiatives. And this also provides a bit of context when users just view in JIRA and they see what part of the bigger picture is, what they're working on. So what we did, so all these grids, the teams of teams, they get their own JIRA project, they have their own issue type scheme, and this one contains the episodes. So similar to a blog managing user stories and epics, the grid owner has its JIRA project and he manages the episodes to realize its grid strategy. So we also have special workflows for this, right? So since it's a new issue type, you can configure anything you can for any other issue type. So grid owners start thinking about how do we want to manage an episode through its life cycle. We have some sort of ideation phase, maybe a lightweight business case. Some try to apply the SAFe framework, so they do weighted shortest job first or anything, and manage it until it's ready for development by the teams. So this is all done in JIRA in the same way that you're used to work with JIRA, but now at scale. And similarly, of course, for episodes, again, even for business lines or bank-wide initiatives, we can have Kanban boards for managing these initiatives. So all of this is still without actually using the portfolio add-on, really. It's still just Kanban boards, right? And issue types and workflows. But the real power of portfolio, obviously, is in bringing that all together. So every grid also has its own portfolio plan. And a portfolio plan, this is where everything from within the grid comes together. So let's say you have 20 teams in your grid. All of these boards are loaded into a portfolio plan. And with the hierarchy of user story to epic to episode to saga, you can see the full chain, even if it spans across multiple teams, right? So this is what has been missing in JIRA. In here we can have the complete overview, even if multiple teams are contributing to the same larger initiative. So in this picture you can see a bunch of user stories, and in the top you see the sprints and what user stories are planned in which sprint. So just having this view has turned out already to be very valuable, right? So managers, I already mentioned, they get kind of nervous without having projects, but with having an insight like this, that you have all your teams in there, this is what they're working on, this is how it contributes to our bigger shared objectives, that makes them sleep well at night. Yeah, releases are a very important part of portfolio, so that really plays a significant role in where in the timeline something shows up in your plan. So the fixed version, if you're familiar with JIRA, has become very important. But this really helps also to create realistic forecasts of releases. So what can we actually deliver with multiple teams in a certain release? Long-term planning is also becomes easier with the, well, sometimes call it magic calculation of portfolio, which uses the combination of estimates from JIRA, releases, the velocity of all the teams, and then calculates when realistically something can be delivered. So this way makes it a lot easier with multiple teams to plan a little bit more than 1 or 2 sprints in the future. Keeping track of dependencies is another benefit that you get from portfolio, because when there are conflicts in scheduling and issues that have been linked as being blocking for another issue, you get notifications of that right away. So if the story A is planned in a sprint later than story B, but it should have been solved the other way, you get notified, which is really helpful. Because like I said, true autonomy doesn't really exist for a full 100% in a complex organization. So there will be dependencies from other teams. Yeah, finally the what-if scenarios, which we really like. So if you have a plan, but something new comes in, which happens every week, then you can actually just put it in your plan, give it an estimate, hit the calculate button, see what it happens to your plan. So the release timeline will all get red and people start crying, or it's still all green and you're good to go. So you can really just try out stuff. What happens if I reprioritize something, if I add a new epic in here, or if I add a new team or remove a new team, whatever, you can see what happens and what the impact is.
Key takeaways.
Over to you to wrap it up.
Thank you. Okay, I would like to walk through the key takeaways for us. Of course, I think this is most important for everyone, and the agile transition is key. It's not only about tooling, but it's also about the transition, and that requires much more than the tooling. But the mindset is most valuable to this point, and that takes time, especially in organizations as banking and financial institutes. But you like to see also what teams are delivering, what kind of value they're delivering in this transformation, because they are playing an important role in this. But JIRA helps, and also with moving things forward as well. Create a vision for your JIRA configuration, I would say. We really got help in this also from Atlassian itself, but also from Avisi. We are here sitting here in the front row. And this helps us as well, like, okay, what is the best thing to configure it, to make it possible for an organization like 10,000 users will use JIRA on a daily basis. So think about it. If you're like in a skilled environment, what is the best thing? Talk with your counterparts, really helpful. Yeah, training. You cannot say it enough. We figured out that JIRA is very flexible. You can do a lot with it, but especially for beginners, they would like to have some training, some guidelines, some tutorials, and of course there's a lot to see over the internet. You can find many movies, but maybe you want to do something customized for your organization. That's what we did with our community, with our approach, and that helped to understand the bigger picture what we want to create. Last, well, I would say portfolio is a next step for cross-team alignment and insight, and it really helped us with this next steps. You're seeing what kind of hierarchies you can create, what helps us to have this overview over blocks in the grids and over multiple grids with the saga as an issue type. It's nice that you can create your own flavors. That's the nice thing also, that you can do this. And well, but it's really helping us to move forward. Yeah, thank you very much. I think we have some time for questions. Yeah, okay.